What is going on, Nuggets Nation NBA fans? My name is Tom Leuthner. Welcome back to another episode of Nuggets Today, brought to you by Underdog. If you guys did not know, we are officially sponsored by Underdog. So go ahead and use this promo code right here, and make sure to download the app as well as stand by for a promo code that'll get you guys some free money for the big game coming up in a few Sundays, as well as some NBA action as Rivals Week has continued to roll on. Make sure, like I said, to go ahead, download that app. And I will give you guys a promo code in a little bit. But some things to touch on this Nuggets win, a pretty lackluster win, in my opinion. Something that a win I feel like should have been pulled out way easier than it was. Denver ends up winning by 10 points, which is fine. But at the same time, you look at this Wizards team, they're missing Trae Young. And I thought that was going to be a massive, positive for Denver to go ahead and attack, and their starting five did just that. And then something that we'll get into in a little bit, but that bench unit did relatively nothing. The first topic I want to talk about, though, is Jonas Valanciunas, and it was so nice to see a center finally back in this Nuggets starting five. Jonas Valanciunas, 22 minutes on it seemed like a restriction. Obviously, the fouling was a little bit too much. He ends the game with 5 personal fouls, which was terrible to see. One was just an unlucky spin into an elbow. Or a bicep more than an elbow, I guess. But he finishes the game with 16, 9, and 2 on just under 50% shooting from the field. Goes 6 for 13, 4 for 4 from the free throw line, 0 for 1 from the three-point line. But it's nice to see him sort of play in the paint with the calf injury. I know that before the game there was some updates about him. He was dunking when running, which is a good thing to see that he's able to put the amount of pressure on his leg, just because you hope that they don't rush him back. And I think that's the biggest thing, is like you don't want Jonas Valanciunas or Nikola Jokic or any of these guys to be rushed back just because you're losing some games and this bench unit is tired. So it was great to see Jonas Valanciunas come back into the starting five in like I said, 22 minutes only to drop 16 and 9 on a Wizards team that was only missing Trae Young. And to out-rebound Alex Sarr was pretty big. Keyshawn George did have the most rebounds, I believe, in the entire game with 12 rebounds. So I'm just happy that Jonas actually grabbed some rebounds, and Denver didn't lose this rebound battle by a massive margin. They actually win the rebound battle by 4 rebounds. So grab 11 offensive rebounds to the Wizards 14. But great to see somebody actually in there grabbing rebounds now for this Denver Nuggets team. The next thing I want to talk about is another starter, and that is obviously Peyton Watson. I mean, how could you not talk about him? Somebody who's been so good, and I do apologize for if you guys listen to me about the odds. And I mean, listen, I don't know what the projection was for his rebounds. I think I said take the under, but if you listen to me for his points and projection for his points, 35 points tonight on 10 for 16 shooting, 6 for 8 from the three-point line, 9 for 10 from the free throw line. He was unconscious this entire game. He goes down with 2 different injuries, which makes you a little nervous because this Nuggets team can't stay healthy. And now I believe in 5 games, this is the second time he's gone down. The first injury was a foot or an ankle injury. He came down off a layup, and somebody landed on his foot, and it seemed that it was going to be a little bit, I think it looked like it could have been in the field of a dislocation, and thank God it wasn't. And then he comes down going up for a dunk and lands on his back awkwardly, but great game from him overall. He really dominated. He carried this Nuggets team, especially because Jamal went 9 for 17, which isn't bad at all. I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but Jamal goes 9 for 17, and P. Watt only misses 6 shots. So, I mean, listen, he has been amazing in this stretch of non-Jokic, non-Cam, non-CB. And like I said, I think that he deserves a starting role when everybody comes back. I think it's going to take a little bit of time to ease Cam or CB back into this starting five. But at the same time, I do think that P. Watt deserves that role over anybody right now. So like I said, before we get into the rest of our topics, I do have a word from our sponsor. Fast breaks, buzzer beaters, and block parties are back, and Underdog is the best place to get in on all the action. Playing an Underdog is easy. Just pick whether your favorite players will go higher or lower on stats like points, rebounds, steals, and more. Get your picks right, and you can win up to 5,000 times your money. Like I said, 5,000 times your money. And I'm going to give you guys a promo code, which I'm sure you can see on the screen. But before I do that, I want to pinpoint the one game I am looking at. And that game I'm looking at is actually a team that's not so good against a team that could be pretty good in the Eastern Conference if they pick it up, and that is the Sacramento Kings against the Cleveland Cavaliers. I'm going to look at the projections, and my first thought is to just take Malik Monk at higher than 10.5 points. I feel like that's a low line for a guy like Malik Monk, who is probably one of the best bench players in the NBA. If you were to ask me, somebody who I want on my team off the bench, I would say Malik Monk. I could look at Russell Westbrook, but he's now a starter, and his higher than 16.5 point projection is also intriguing to me. And then, like I say, I always like to do one from each team. My second projection is going to be Evan Mobley, higher than 18.5 points. I know that Domantas Sabonis is potentially back, so you look at who he's going against, and those players are Dylan Caldwell and Max Reno. So I am going to take those two projections. Download the app today and use promo code BasketballFan to score $75 in bonus entries when you play your first $5. That's promo code BasketballFan. It is on your screen right now. $75 after your first $5. Underdog, make picks, win money.
Must be 18 plus. 19 plus in Alabama and Nebraska. 19 plus in Colorado for some games. 21 plus in Arizona, Massachusetts, and Virginia. And present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. See assets.underdogfantasy.com/play and get terms DFSTML for details. Offer not valid in Michigan, New Jersey, New York, Ohio, and Pennsylvania. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.ncpgambling.org. In New York, call the 24/7 helpline at 1-878 or text HOMI 467-369.
Now we are back, and I want to talk about two slight things. One being this bench unit for this Denver Nuggets team, and the other obviously being Will Riley, which you could see on the screen right there. But the thing about this bench unit, I thought this bench unit was going to be so much better with Spencer Jones being moved down to that bench unit. He also, 28 minutes, 1 block. I know he plays defense, and his stats aren't always going to show up on the stat sheet, which is fine, but 2 points, 5 rebounds, and 5 rebounds I'm fine with. But we're hitting a point where Tim Hardaway Jr. is sort of coming back down to earth. He went 1 for 8, 0 for 5 from the three-point line. I believe this is the second game in a row with awful shooting splits. And I think that maybe the older age is catching up with him. Not that he's an old player, but he is a vet in this league. And you see that the role and the amount of minutes he's taking on may affect his game. He only played 20 minutes in tonight's game. But at the same time, you don't want to see him fade out because he's been such a massive part of this Denver Nuggets offense that if he does fade out, you're in a bad position. You look at his last 3 games. Now, against Washington, January 17th, he put up 30 on 10 for 18 shooting, which is amazing. Since that game, and even the game beforehand, you look at the Dallas game, 4 for 12, then he comes out 10 for 18. The last 3 games, 1 for 5 versus Charlotte in 13 minutes, 31 minutes against LA, 2 for 12, and then, 1 for 8 from the field in tonight's game with 2 points, 0 for 5 from the three-point line. So just an awful showing for Tim Hardaway Jr. Bruce Brown puts up 6 rebounds, 6 points on 3 for 8 shooting. Zeke Naji in the 10 minutes, he played 4 and 1. Bruce is fine. I know people aren't the biggest fan of him, but at the same time, I just think the only thing that he really needs to work on right now is his finishing around the rim and just some slight mistakes here and there. But I do think that connection with him and Jokic will come back and he'll be better than he looks right now. And the last thing I want to talk about in today's episode is obviously the young talent on the Washington Wizards. Will Riley, 13-4 and no assists off the bench, 4 for 10 shooting, 40% from the field, which isn't the best, 3 for 7 from the three-point line, no blocks, 1 steal. But I think that when you look at some of these players, listen, Keyshawn George was awesome. He's a bright spot to talk about for this Wizards team, 20, 12, and 7, and I could easily talk about him. But, Will Riley putting a 13 in the 21 minutes he played off the bench is massive. Trey Johnson had 19 in the starting lineup. Alex Sarr 15-6, or 15-8 rather. But Will Riley is just showing a lot of potential, and I think if he develops and the starting 5 can continue to dominate in certain ways where Keyshawn could just be the monster on every asset of the floor or every spot on the floor. Middleton may have to just go 3 for 11 from the field. If Trey comes back and this young unit starting 5 can actually figure something out, I think that they're going to be in a good position, and they also have a top pick. So this Wizards team could be scary in a little while, but good game for Will Riley off the bench. He's the one player I did want to pinpoint outside of Keyshawn George. So that is all I got for you guys today, Nuggets Nation. Like I always say, make sure to hit that like and subscribe button. And if you guys want me to cover anything, please let me know down below in the comments. Huge shout out again to Underdog for sponsoring this episode and this podcast. I'll catch you guys later.